Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brittany, but these days I go by B, and I am a seller of clothing, both modern pre-owned and vintage online. And I've been selling on Etsy for 12 years now, and on Poshmark for about 10. And today we are going to pack up my sales from the weekend. So normally I would go ahead and ship my Friday sales on Saturday, but this weekend we had my son's 10th birthday party, so we were too busy. So I was not able to get my shipping done, and I sold quite a few things this weekend, some like maybe fun stuff to talk about. So I decided, well, what if we just do a ship with me video? And so here we are. We are gonna go ahead and just dive right in. I do have some stuff to talk about. The first thing I'm gonna get packaged up is for Poshmark. I only had 2 Poshmark sales over the weekend. Poshmark has been very, very slow for me the last, I would say, maybe 2 weeks. They have made some changes. If you are not sure why your sales are slow, they took away the following tab. So when you opened Poshmark, there used to be 3 tabs. I'll show you my feed right here. So there were 3 tabs. There's the For You tab, there's the Live tab, and then there used to be a Following tab where you could go and see new items from all, or like just shared items from all of the people that you are following. So if you are actually like a shopper on Poshmark and you follow based on like, yes, I like this closet's aesthetic, I like what they're listing, and I want to see their new items, then that's gone now. So that's one thing that they changed. And then another thing that they changed is if you go to a brand, let's just say like Anthropologie, and I'll change it to not my size, but all sizes, and then you sort it by, it's automatically sorted by just shared, right? So that's the default. And normally when you share your closet, you're showing up in the just shared section. But what they've changed, at least for some people, and I know it's happening for me, is that almost every other line, or like every 2 lines, is an ad from promoted listings. And the things that are shared recently, it's like updated a minute ago, and then updated 2 minutes ago, and then updated 2 minutes ago. And you don't have to get very far down for it to start being updated 4 minutes ago. And then I've gotten updated 28 minutes ago. So like, if you think about Anthropologie as a brand as a whole, there's like thousands of listings for Anthropologie, and they're constantly getting shared. So there's absolutely no way that like the 8th thing down should be from 4 minutes ago or 28 minutes ago. So they're doing something behind the scenes that's changing the way that shares work, and it's really affecting my sales, and I think it's also affecting other people's sales as well. Let's go ahead and pack up one of the things that I did sell though. This is just a Teavana tea tin, and this was mine. It came out of my cabinet. I'm gonna ship it in a box that I got from from the Bookish box that had like a tumbler in it. I thought it's like the perfect size. So you cannot use priority shipping anymore for your Poshmark packages, so we're going to pack that up. So this did not sell for much. It sold for $10. It did have a shipping discount on it. I have Reseller Assistant, and that sends out an automatic 10% off discount with $4.99 shipping. So I actually only made like $5 on this, but you know, it's something that I like had around my house, and if we were gonna do a yard sale or something like that, I would take $5 readily for this tin that I'm not using anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and ship that off in here, take that up. So I've been a posher for like I said, about 10 years now, and for the most part, they've made changes that have been better for business, and so I'm certainly hoping that they have something going on behind the scenes that will ultimately lead to more sales. But for the time being, there's definitely some growing pains, and with the economy the way it is and the political climate the way it is, I think there's just a lot of tension and people are afraid to shop for sort of like extra stuff that they don't need. And so I think we're also seeing some of that. So I do wish that they had waited to make these changes until maybe like after the holiday season, because we all know how Poshmark works, and changing it sort of without notice right before the holiday season is difficult for us, and it could like really impact our sales. So we'll see how that goes. I am going to put a fragile sticker on this just to hopefully like keep it from getting crushed. I'm hoping that, you know, they want to make money, so they're not going to do anything that's going to kill their platform. And what I think they need to work on the most is their search algorithm, because it's awful. So I'll put labels on these once I'm done packing them up. I don't want to accidentally show anybody's address. So my other Poshmark sale, I already have bagged up. This one was a trench coat. I will put the picture over here for you to see. And that one, so I had this listed for $160. This is an Anne Klein trench coat, like actual designer Anne Klein, back from the late 70s, early 80s. I got this at an estate sale, and I think this was just an issue of having it priced too high and never adjusting it down, because after I had had this listed for a bit, I eventually just sort of stopped taking care of my closet and my Etsy shop. Like, if stuff sold, it sold, fantastic, but I wasn't like going in and analyzing, you know, my sales numbers to see like, oh, do I have that price too high? Should I bring it down? So I had this on Poshmark, and somebody offered me a 50% off offer, which was $80. I still felt like that was quite respectable, and I felt like it was fair. So I went ahead and accepted that offer. I've had this trench coat listed for I think like 2 or 3 years now, and so they offered me $80, and so my earnings are going to be $64, and I am certainly glad to move this along, get it to its new owner. Okay, now we are going to move over to Etsy. I had 13 sales on Etsy over the Friday to Sunday time period. One of them was this Liz Claiborne top. It is just a white top. It's got like a floral woven into it, like a pattern woven into it, like a jacquard kind of. And it is back button. This is actually going to Switzerland. It does have a little mark on the back shoulder. This came from an estate sale, and it had a lot of the stuff I got at this estate. It was like an estate buyout, but it had like these marks on it that looked like rust, but they would not respond to any rust treatment. So I actually don't know what they were, and I could never get them out, so I just disclosed that. And if I didn't already say, this is going all the way to Switzerland. I just got this new tissue paper. I didn't used to pack my orders up any special way. I would just put them in the poly mailer and then send them off. However, I feel like recently, you know, the economy is hard, and so when you're spending money on something that's maybe not a necessity, I feel like it's just a nice feeling to get it where it's packaged in a pretty way. It makes you feel like you made a good decision spending your money. I also want to see if people mention it in comments, like when they leave reviews and stuff like that. So far, most people have not mentioned the packaging, so we'll see. This, I just printed these out. They're like little stickers. They say looking foxy, with my little logo fox on there. And yeah, so got the cute little cottagecore mailers, got these, this pretty paper, and the new stickers. I'll write what that is. So I'll tell you what that sold for. So the sales price was $38.99. They paid my full asking price. I listed this maybe a month ago. So it did sell relatively quickly. And after all of my fees, after the shipping that was paid, I made $32.86 on that blouse, and very happy with that. Next is a blue midi skirt. This is a button front. I'll put a picture of it up on the screen for you so you can see what it looked like. And this got a lot of attention. A lot of, like, on Etsy you can see how many people have added it to a cart. So if somebody actually goes the extra step to add it to their cart, it will show underneath the listing in red. It'll say like 3 people have this in their cart or 4 people have this in their cart. And at one point I think 3 people had this in their cart. So not surprised that this sold. Let's see. After shipping and fees, I made $33.01 on this. This sold for $41.99 minus a 10% discount. I have a discount that goes out to shoppers if they leave an item in their cart for more than 24 hours. And so Etsy will like email them that they have a discount, and then I think it will automatically just go into their cart. So like, even if they don't get the email from Etsy, if they go to checkout from my shop, it will automatically apply that discount because I have sent it to them, right? So Etsy doesn't want them to make the purchase and then realize that they got an email with a discount and have to deal with like, oh, I need to cancel this order because I could have gotten a discount or something like that. So yeah, so that sold for, I guess it was probably about $38 after the discount. And I do find that button front skirts sell really well, especially in basic colors. So your khaki, your beige, your olive green, your navy blue, your black, like those are going to be great colors to get for the button front skirt. White does sell too, but it's a little bit trickier of a color to move because, I don't know, not everybody likes to wear white. I know when my kids were little, I got rid of like all my white clothing because I was just afraid to ruin it. Next up is a cardigan. It sold very quickly, like within a couple of days. I listed this last week. It is a Halloween cardigan. Kind of unfold it so you can see. It's got these like witches here, and there's like pumpkins on this side, and it's made out of cotton. Yeah, it's a cotton and poly blend, and it has these really cute little pumpkin buttons on it. So I try to keep an eye on what has been selling in the Poshmark vintage category, and one thing that I noticed was selling a lot was like Halloween sweaters. So when I saw this, I knew I wanted to pick it up, and I knew I wanted to get it listed really quickly. And this sold for, let's see, my asking price was $35.99, and they did use the 10% off coupon for this. So after shipping, because I've already printed the label for this, after shipping, my earnings was $28.10, and I did get this at the Goodwill outlet. It is probably 10 ounces, so paid less than $2 for it. And I think that's great. I thought this was really cute, so I'm happy to see it go to a new home before Halloween, because I don't want to be sitting on Halloween stuff for the rest of the year, right? Move it out. This was also super popular. You could see like how many people had added this to cart, how many people had favorited this, and so if you have any Halloween sweaters that you've accidentally been sitting on, get them listed now, because people are looking for them. They are buying them. I'm not sure how well tissue paper is going to hold up in the mail as opposed to like a craft paper. But I do have craft paper as well, but I have found that craft paper can like push the weight up from 1 ounce to the next ounce. So I'm trying this out. It's supposed to be very strong. A lot of people left reviews that it was strong for a tissue paper, so fingers crossed. Next up is a little girl's dress. I've had this for a really long time, like probably, I don't know, 4 years maybe more. And I think the problem with this is that it's sort of like almost like an apron style, so it's very, very cute, very nice like floral pattern, very pretty colors, but the back is like open, right? So this is the back, and you would wear like another dress under it, like maybe a white dress or a black dress. So perhaps that's why it had a little bit more of a lengthy selling time. But it did sell, and I do find that as I list new items on Etsy, a lot of times it does help move my old items as well. Let's see, this one sold for $19.99, and the buyer paid full asking price. There was no shipping discount, or no add to cart discount. And they did choose priority shipping, so I have a priority mailer here for them. And I guess they need this maybe in a hurry. I'm not going to put a Lookin' Foxy sticker on that because it is for a child. But I am going to take a fox sticker out of here. I'll put that one on there. Okay. This is the only priority package I have going out, so I know which one that is. Yeah, 2 more clothing items. The first is a silk scarf. Silk scarves always surprise me by how quickly they sell, and they sell for like a decent amount of money. This one, I mean, if you think about like picking up a silk scarf like this at the bins, it's so lightweight that you're paying almost nothing for it. And I sold this one for $17.99. I recently sold another silk scarf for a little bit more than that, like $23 or something like that. But this one sold for $17.99. They did use the shipping or the 10% off discount. So after all of the shipping costs and Etsy fees, this netted me $13.88. And that's pretty good for something that's really lightweight. I don't mind having these lower priced sales, because for me, every sale that you make on Etsy kind of bumps your shop up in the algorithm, so then they're pushing your shop and your other items to anyone who is searching, so you're less buried in the search. Like the more that you sell, the more that you're going to sell, because Etsy really pushes your shop. And the more reviews that you get, like 5-star reviews, the more Etsy pushes that. And so I don't mind having these little smaller sales to kind of like bump up my overall sales quantity. So I find that in the long run, it really works. So the last clothing item is this Gwen Stefani lamb sweater. And I think I got this at the bins. It is 100% cashmere. And if you have never seen a lamb tag, this was Gwen Stefani's clothing line in like the late 90s, or maybe it was the early 2000s. But it looks like this. It's like very kind of like ornate and hard to read, almost like medieval text sort of situation. But I recognized this because I have owned lamb pieces before. And it does have these little like crystals at the back of the neckline. It has this kind of like cutout detail in the front and the back of the shoulder. And then there's also this little loop on the front here, and it would have had a matching tie to go with it. I ended up looking up the item, and I was able to find another one that someone had sold that had the matching tie. So I did disclose that, but I think that you could just tie like a scarf that you really liked there, and no one would know, right? But the cashmere is in beautiful condition, super soft, and there was like no pilling, no holes. And this brand is actually very sought after. There are collectors of lamb by Gwen Stefani. It's not as intense as Betsy Johnson is right now, especially like the 90s Betsy Johnson pieces, but it's in that same like category. Like that's the same sort of buyer, I think. And so this one, some of these lamb pieces can go for like 150, 200, really depends on what you have. Like if I had the tie for this, I probably would have priced it at 125. But I did not have the tie for it, so I priced it at $73.99. They did use the 10% off coupon. And so after shipping, after everything was said and done, my earnings was $59.54. And that is pretty good for a bin's find. This sale actually came in late last night. And this has been listed for, I'm going to say, about a month and a half to 2 months. So it didn't take too long to sell. And I am going to put a Foxy sticker on it. And so I would look out for that like giant tag. Because these are collectible pieces. This line is defunct. She doesn't make this line anymore. And it's kind of got that like 90s Y2K glam rocker sort of aesthetic, and there are definitely people that are still looking for that. So the next sale, if you watched my rainy day reseller vlog, which was the last video that I did, you will recall the Tommy Tudor typewriter, very cute. And this did sell. This sold pretty quickly after listing, like within the week. And this did sell on Etsy, and it sold, I had it listed for $25.99. Unfortunately, it sold on what is called off-site listings. So that is where Etsy advertises for you off-site, like coming up in Google search and stuff like that. So if the person who bought this probably searched Tommy Tudor typewriter or typewriter toys on Google and my listing came up. He actually sent me a couple of questions about it, so I answered those questions, and I had the listing video, and he did end up checking out. So it like follows you. So basically, even if he comes back to purchase it, because the origin of him getting to my listing was Etsy's offsite ads, they are going to go ahead and charge the offsite ad fee. And I am grandfathered into a lower rate than most newer shops would have. So I can't remember exactly how much that is. It's still pretty pricey. It used to be 30% of your sale, and I think it's a little bit less than that. I want to say like 14 or 15 now. So this did sell for $25.99 plus $8.65 shipping, but the offsite ad fee was $4.16. So I have not shipped this out yet. Once I do, I will make about $18 on it. So I had hoped to make a little bit more on that, but that's just life. You don't make a ton of sales through offsite ads, but it is money, and I am happy to see this move on to a new home. And so, yeah. Okay, last up we sold a couple of paper goods and books. I sold this 1950s era Gingerbread Man book. I purchased these at the bins. So our Goodwill outlet has all of their books are 50 cents a pound. This couldn't weigh more than like 2 ounces. So I'm looking at maybe 7 to 8 cents a piece for these books. And so you'll see that I didn't really sell this for a lot, but the idea is that, you know, these Junior Elf books are sought after. That's the name of the, you know, like little golden books. These are Junior Elf books. So the idea being that as I find more, I can just recycle the listing. And like I mentioned earlier, the more sales a listing has and the more sales your shop has, the more Etsy is going to push you in that search algorithm. So even though this was only sold for $5.99, I think ultimately, you know, it's $5 in my pocket because it cost me almost nothing. It's very quick to list, and I do think I'm going to be able to find and add more of these books to my shop over time. And so it's going to be really easy having set up this Junior Elf listing with all of the keywords that would go with it. I think it's going to be very easy for me to add new ones. And if you had a whole stack of these and they're all selling for $5.99 a piece, you're not going to like scoff at that, right? Because that's quite a bit of money when you add it all up, and they weigh almost nothing, cost almost nothing, and they don't take a lot of space to store. So I sold this one for $5.99. They paid the full asking price, and they paid no shipping. So there's something very interesting on Etsy that is kind of new to me this year, and that is called Etsy Insider. And I've tried to look into it a little bit more to kind of figure out what that is. But essentially it's some kind of like Etsy membership where if you pay a certain amount for the year, you get free shipping on certain shops, and my shop seems to qualify because I've gotten quite a few of these. Like if I go in and I look, I'll put this up on the screen so you can see, but if I go in and I look, it'll say Etsy Insider free shipping, and then it'll say, you know, however much off. So this was $4.47, so this is $4.47 off. Next up is a one-piece stationery pad that I purchased when I was like, I don't know, 13. We used to have this like anime shop in our city. I used to live in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where I grew up, and there was an anime shop there, and you could go and you could like rent VHS of all of these like animes that had been dubbed, and they started selling like anime products, and some of them were bootleg. I never ended up watching One Piece. It just felt like too much of a commitment for me. Like if you have not heard of One Piece, it's an anime, but it has like 250 or more maybe episodes, multiple movies. Like, it just seems like way too much of a commitment. Like, that's the same reason that I won't read like the Wheel of Time books. It's just like there's 16 of those and they're all like 800 pages, and I'm like, I just don't have time in my life for that. So this is a one piece item, and I just, yeah, I don't have time for that. I'm gonna use this little Karate Fox sticker here. So I've had this listed for well over a year, but I am happy to see it move on to someone else who will appreciate it. It was mine from when I was a kid, so I didn't pay anything for it. And let's see, it sold for $16.99. They paid my full asking price, no discount. And so after I ship this, I will probably make about $12. $12 I didn't have before, right? I did order some Do Not Bend stickers, but they have not come in yet, so I'll just write it on the label. So this is another item that has been listed for a really long time. This was my husband's. I used to work at a used bookstore, so I brought home tons of used books, vintage books, and this was his copy of A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. And we did like a clean out of our books maybe like a year and a half or 2 years ago, when we built our library. And this was one that he decided to get rid of, so I listed it on Etsy, and it finally sold. And the interesting thing about this is that it's going to Japan. So this sold to Japan. I only had it listed for, I think, let's see, $15.99, and they paid full asking price and then $32.24 in shipping. So I think, like, having been to Japan, I can see why someone would want to purchase this. The English offerings over there in bookstores are very small, and they're not gonna have something this old. I think it's mostly gonna be like newer bestseller type titles, and it's only gonna be bestsellers that they think will appeal to a Japanese audience. So like if the rights have sold in Japan, then, you know, they're able to translate it. But yeah, so this is in English, and it is going all the way to Japan. So I do speak some Japanese, and so I just wrote arigato gozaimasu on the back of this little hedgehog. So cute, right? And I'll just pop that in there and then seal this up. Okay, next up, and I think the last one that I'm going to be packing on camera, because the other two are going to take a really long time, and I'll show you what they are and you'll kind of understand. But it is this set of plush hangers. I get these at the Goodwill outlet. They sell very well for me, and this is actually the last set to sell out of the ones that I had and listed. And these sold for $19.99. They did not use any sort of discount code, so after I ship these, I should make about $17. And they're very lightweight. It's very easy to pick them up at the outlet when I see them. And I do buy, even the plain ones sell really well. I labeled these as like coquette sort of style coquette hangers, because they have that sort of pastel, like girly look to them. And they got the most attention, but they sold the last. So I don't know why it took so long for these to sell. They're super cute, but I am happy to be moving them out. So the last items that I sold were vintage shiny bright ornaments. I'll show you. So a few years back I went to an estate sale and I bought like this huge tub of just like mixed ornaments, and they are the vintage ones like this. We've got some that are, you know, they've got the facets in them. There's some that have glitter. There's some ombre ones, which these are some of my favorites. They're really pretty. And then, you know, like patterned ones. We have some that have like nativity scenes. I had one with stars on it. So basically, I didn't want to part these out and list them individually, so I just did a mystery lot of 12. So you get 12 mixed ornaments for $34.99. And I sold 2 sets of those over the weekend. That's probably going to be the last from this basket. I do have another basket, so I'm going to photograph that. I just took a picture of like the overall basket and I was like, you're getting them from this basket. So I'm going to photograph the other basket and then like renew that listing. Because it sold 4 times, it should be pushed pretty strongly in the algorithm. There were, I think, 11 people who had this in their cart when I sold out of them. So hopefully the other ones will sell as well. I've had these for years. I used all the broken ones to make myself a wreath, and I have little kids and I just don't hang any glass ornaments anymore, really ornaments. So I'm gonna get them off to someone who enjoys them and who will use them. And so this one sold for $34.99. They did not use a discount code. They did get that Etsy Insider free shipping. So, I mean, I don't have to pay the Etsy Insider shipping. Etsy comps that. So, I mean, I still get the money that goes towards shipping. So I'm not out the money for the shipping. So to me, it doesn't matter if it sells with Etsy Insider. It doesn't change my payout. And the other person that bought this, they paid full asking price, no discounts. Okay, so I will package these up off camera because I individually wrap each one. And that is it for today's Ship With Me. I hope that you enjoyed this type of video. I know it's a little different from what solds that I did many years ago. And so you'll have to let me know what sort of format you like better. Do you like it when I sit down at the computer and show you all of the listings, or do you like the Ship With Me process and just the more like chatty, informal situation that this is? So leave me a comment down below. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. Leave a Christmas tree emoji in your comment down below to show me that you watched to the end. And I would love, if you like this type of content, to hit the like button and go ahead and subscribe. And I think with that, I'm gonna call it here, get these labels on, and then I'm supposed to meet a friend at the bins. So my next YouTube video is probably going to be a bins haul, and I am excited to film that for you. So I'll see you there. Bye!